Looks like we are live. All right. It's Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories, and I'm here with the real John F. Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you?
Every time I get a chat with you, Sue, it's wonderful. We're getting that story out to so many. We're growing,
Yeah.
and the story deserves to be out. They don't want it out. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Been busy as always, exciting stuff happening, and you can see everything in the world is going crazy at once. So stuff is happening out there. All right. I've noticed that you're getting more views on your videos, which is amazing. And
It's awesome.
99.9% of the people are like, oh my God, I didn't know about any of this. Then you got the 1% that's like, oh, you're lying. Okay. So for those guys that don't believe, what I want to say is go to the website, the real John F. Kennedy Jr.com. Look around there. Look at the pictures, look at the content, read the book, Stolen Identity, available on Amazon, and or The Historian's Tale, also available on Amazon. And in just 1 hour or less, you can watch thequietjourney.tv and get the whole story so you understand it, and you don't have to say like it's not a true story. You'll understand what we're talking about here, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've been going over this over and over and over and over and over. And John, you're probably going to end up going over it forever, to tell people your story. But it's hard because we want to like answer more questions and get more content out there.
I just want to get the story out and go
Yeah.
fishing and relax and enjoy the rest of my life. But getting this story out is so important. It's so important to everybody in the world.
Yep.
Congress just recognized, by what I was told last night, that the CIA did um, have, something to do with killing my father. Well, I've been sharing that. Not only the CIA, but the FBI and our Secret Service all working together killed my father. I know this. I lived it. I lived all the attempts on my life. And I wish, I get so many haters. Show me DNA, this, that.
Right.
Send a message to Congress and demand them to release my DNA. Tell them to bring me and speak in front of Congress and share of what I have learned and what I know about all the other cover-ups, all the other murders that the CIA did. Because there's many. I lost my loved ones, and
Right.
I'll flat out tell Congress it was a mafia war, a syndicate war, family versus family, and they killed the Kennedy family. I seen a picture yesterday, and I don't have scripts or anything. I just go off. But anyway, for the 4th of July, the Kennedy family all got together for a picture, and it showed 100 Kennedys all in this one photo. I wasn't invited, but I remember when I was almost 3 years old. I remember the day very, very well because my shoes were too tight. My feet hurt. My mother set me on a wood floor like it was a basketball court, an auditorium, but all the Kennedys showed up. They all showed up for the photo ops. Um, my mother's side of the family, my cousins, my father's side of the family, they all showed up for this photo op. I'm probably in there with my my shoes that were too tight. But I'll tell you what that was for, because they were planning the takeover of the Kennedy family. They wanted all the Kennedys in one group. They wanted to get pictures of all the faces. They wanted to be able to take them out and replace them. They wanted to know who all the Kennedys were, get them all in one spot because they were planning the takeover of the Kennedy family. It was a big photo op. It was planned that way. And I've learned that since I was almost 3. So what this photo op of the Kennedys actually really was on the 4th of July, they better pray. They better pray because they all got called out in one shot on Independence Day. So if there's a Kennedy out there that was in that photo, I don't know what to tell you, but it's not good to do family photos like that, especially when you have so many enemies. And a lot of those people are probably fake Kennedys. My family was replaced. I mean, distant, cousins and stuff. Maybe they're still alive. I hope they are. But it was a war. It was a brutal war. And I'm
Right.
exposing that brutal war. I lost many loved ones. I was so young when they were all dying. Um, but by the time I was 15 years old, I thought most all my loved ones were dead. That's what I thought in my heart because I saw so much killing. And anyway, I just wanted to share that because that's why it was done in 1962 or 1963, that big family photo op.
Right.
And now we just had another one, what, 60 years later or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wasn't invited. And I should be the head of the family. I really should.
Well, not only that, look at supposedly the JFK files were going to be released, what? February. Let's just say February, 60 plus years later after the event. Okay, 60 years later. Still don't have the truth, do we? Still don't have it.
You got the truth right here, though, Sue. And
I know.
the viewers and the listeners, they need to, my story is very important. I get haters on there. I just had a hater comment that said I would not take DNA because I'm bullshit. I'm full of shit. I won't take a DNA test because I'm full of shit. I read a comment like that and I think, how unintelligent are these people? They didn't ask me. They didn't research that I have taken 6 DNA tests, that I've spent thousands of dollars on DNA, that our government won't release it because I'm the whistleblower. And my DNA would blow the fucking lid off of it. I would never get another show me DNA.
Right.
I would get, oh, your DNA is a match. You probably faked it or some shit like that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No matter what you do there, you're not going to win. Like, so again, we talked about how the lab results could easily be switched. The labs can be bought off. This is a big story. So John is very willing to do the DNA thing. It's just he's done it so many times. The results have not been consistent whatsoever. So they're messing with the results. And all right, so if they murder his father in broad daylight, they kidnap and suppress John's story and do all this other stuff to him through his life, what makes you think we're going to get an honest DNA test?
Yeah. And we're up against the big boys. We
Yeah,
really are.
this is
The
big
biggest
stuff.
criminals there are.
Yeah,
And yeah, I wanted to talk about the Quigleys too. So
yeah.
maybe later in the program, we can talk about the Quigleys and share some of what my handlers had done and that kind of thing.
If you want to get that out, why don't you tell us the stories now and then it'll be out of your brain.
Um, yeah, we could do that. I've been, you asked me the other day about the Quigley, so I'd been thinking about it. And there was so much. And I'll go back to the Quigleys when I was very young. They had a restaurant and they were the managers of this restaurant. And Max and Dorothy were struggling for money, managing this restaurant. When I was real young at the restaurant, I would play under the tables and that kind of thing. But I remember them struggling. Dorothy Quigley was waiting tables. I remember them pissing a few people off. One of the waitresses was crying. And when you're younger, you remember that kind of shit. I remember the head cook
Right.
wanted to quit. I remember they fired a black woman or a Hispanic woman, and she went and complained it was racist and this kind of thing. Um, but when I was young, there was a truck that pulled up, and in our last interview, I had mentioned the trucking industry is organized crime all the way to the top. If trucks stop, we stop. So organized crime took over the trucking industry. Well, there was a truck um, out back of the restaurant that the Quigleys managed. It was actually in it's maybe it's still there. It's called Caro's in Fresno, California. And Max wanted me to go with this guy in this truck. And I got in this big truck and I was looking at all the gauges and checking it out. It was a cab over. And he pulls out of his wallet $1,000 bill. And that's when we had $1,000 bills, I guess. But he pulled it out and he said, "Have you ever seen $1,000 bill? I just wanted to show this to you." Now, why he did that, I don't know, but I'll always remember that day in that truck as a child seeing $1,000 bill for the first time. So anyway, this guy that showed me the $1,000 bill, I believe he was a CIA agent. He was one of the ones that told the Quigleys what to do and how to do it. He's actually the one that took me to the airport and tried to have me killed with my brother Max. Anyway, he went by several different aliases. Very intelligent man, spoke many languages. His name was Victor. His name was Steve. I believe his name was George. Anyway, he had many different disguises he could put himself through. But anyway, the Quigleys started stealing money from they were management, so they started stealing money. I remember first it was change, it was rolls of quarters and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I remember Max was struggling for money. But my whole life I saw that kind of thing go on. They were basically called to a meeting and they brought me. I sat on the Dorothy's lap while they got fired for stealing money. So I was sitting on their lap. We were in another restaurant. I don't know if it was Sacramento or somewhere their main office for Carol's restaurant was. But yeah, I was sitting on the lap on her lap. They were kind of like, "Look, we got John Kennedy here sitting on my lap. Don't fire us. We're all supposed to be family." But anyway, they fired him for stealing. But Max did a lot of things. In my book, I mentioned that he would make fake $100 bills. He almost got caught a couple times for that. One time, the law came to our house and was questioning him about $100 bill he had passed on. But he did, they would take me a lot of different places. One thing that comes to my mind right now, I know it's not part of my story, but my grandma on Dorothy Quigley's side, Marie, I remember her when I was young talking to Dorothy about killing me. They had to get rid of me. They had to quit hiding me out, and she wanted me dead. She ended up dying of cancer not too long after that. Many crazy things, like our next door neighbor flat out telling me I was adopted. I wasn't part of the Quigley family. Bad things happened to that family after she brought that up. But one thing I remember is Max Quigley took me to I can't remember the name of the prison. I remember being parked in the parking lot while Max and somebody else did some business inside the prison. But they had prison windows, and there was a lot of people yelling at us, standing through the windows, standing in the parking lot. A lot of cuss words and just crazy, just standing in, out in the parking lot of this prison. And I believe it was my so-called cousins on the Quigley side that tried to kill me, that were in that prison. But Max was there because they were going there to get recruits, help people get out of prison to do work for the Quigleys. One thing that comes to my mind is Max Quigley was working on his car and he got all frustrated and pissed off, and the car wouldn't run. It was a little pickup truck. It was a newer pickup truck, but he couldn't get it to run. I think he owed payments on it. So what he did was he shoved it down the hill and smashed it into a tree and wrecked it so he could get the insurance. And then he just told the insurance office that it popped out of gear, rolled down the hill, smashed it into a tree, cover it. Well, we had a little A-frame house, and the Quigleys owned a few properties. They would buy real estate, resell the property, do this and that. But they were big into real estate and a lot of the cover-ups in the real estate. Well, they had a little A-frame house, and this was about the time the extortion pictures were taken of me. They got me under MK Ultra. They beat me. They threw me on the ground. They tied me. They held me down. And this was Max and Max Quigley, and I believe it was Steve that did all this. And they had the dog have sex with me while they took pictures of this. I went through a lot of torture. They were like, "You can't tell anybody this or we'll kill them." and I believed that they would. But anyway, they did kind of stuff like that. Well, anyway, I had overheard um, Max talking with someone about how they were going to put things around the hot water heater of that house and burn it down. The house did burn down, and they tried to get the insurance for that. They were working on the house, so they put rags around the hot water heater, saying with a paint bucket, and then said, "Oh, the hot water heater started the fire, burnt the house down, so Max could collect the insurance." That's the kind of people that handled me. They did a lot of things for the dollar. If they were hurting, they would do, and many other things I'm sure I don't know about. But I just thought I would share that.
Wow.
Um, I'm not a rat for one, but these people fucked me over so bad. I'm just getting even. It's that simple. I'm not ratting on these people. I'm just saying, fuck you guys. I'm going to share what you did and how you did it to me flat out to the world. And I don't even know if these people are alive. I don't really care. Um, but that was my family that did all this to me.
So you've told us you've never had a birthday party. Did they ever show you any kindness or compassion, like we'll say a normal family does?
Well, when they changed my birth certificate, when I was young, I didn't have a birthday.
Hmm.
I didn't have a birthday for a few years. Everybody always had birthdays. And I was like, you guys passed up my birthday. Why'd you pass up my birthday? Because they wanted my age to match my birth certificate with hormone pills and every other thing. They were giving me regiments of pills in the morning.
Right,
But they
right,
wanted my birth certificate to match my age. So I couldn't have a birthday um, because, so they do sneaky shit like that. And but I did have birthdays. And one thing, they took custody of my son David, and I had picked him up at the Quigley's house, and we were doing something. But Dorothy Quigley asked me what kind of cake I wanted for my birthday, and I was like, "Well, German chocolate is my favorite. If you're gonna bake a cake, I would love German chocolate." She said, "Well, what do you think about carrot cake?" And I said, "I don't like it. I can't eat it. I really don't like carrot cake." So later that day, Dorothy Quigley brought over a carrot cake and said, "Happy birthday." So my son was real little. I know I shouldn't do this kind of shit. But anyway, I put it in the yard. We didn't have money for food. I think we made it to the food bank. I think it was around Christmas time. Um, my birthday is January 15th as David Quigley. But anyway, I put the carrot cake in the yard. I poured gasoline on it and I lit it on fire. And I think I told my son, it's probably poison in the first place. She knows I'm hungry. So, yeah, I didn't eat the carrot cake because I thought it was poison. And anything that Quigley's would bring me like that would go right in the trash.
right.
But I was sharing with my son, hey, look, um, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have lit it on fire because the first thing he did was tell Dorothy, my dad lit your cake on fire out in the front yard. But yeah,
Gotta love
um,
those kids. Yeah, yeah. But
but
they
yeah,
have, they did poison you, so it was a very valid concern.
yeah. Um, the chocolate chip cookies when I said, oh, I don't feel good after eating a couple, and Max threw them out the window. Um, yeah, and then when I was almost dying from being poisoned, and I believe it was Dorothy. I was so sick. I believe it was Dorothy walked in the trailer and said, "Oh, you're still alive," and then walked right back
Yeah.
out, like waiting for me to die. Some good guys in our shadow government came in and gave me hospital care that I needed because I was dying. I'm so thankful that they came in that night in the middle of the night, and that's how they work. That's yeah.
Right,
But I thank those guys for actually giving me attention because I wanted to die. Yeah, being poisoned is not fun at all. It's
right,
not.
right. Wow. That is shocking. So much of what you've told us is shocking. Well, the whole story is shocking. So you had told I'm going to ask some Q&A if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great.
To jump around a lot. So, uh, a long time ago, you said something that you had received a letter with anthrax in it.
Oh, that was fucked up. That was
And
really fucked up.
can you tell us that story again? Because it is a shocking story.
Yeah, I was actually doing a lot of I was trying to make money. I was with a gal. She had two kids, a boy and a girl. But she was my girlfriend. She asked me to move in with her. So I was doing all kinds of things. I was driving truck. I was eBay, selling things on eBay. I was buying auctions, going to auctions, buying storage units, and then reselling the stuff on eBay. Just making extra money.
Right.
I got into baseball cards. I had a little booth at the flea market that was across the street. So on Saturdays, Sundays, I would go there and try to make a few bucks at the flea market. Um, but I was doing so much eBay, so sending out so many packages, receiving so many packages. And when I got this letter, it almost put me into an MK Ultra state. It was so strange. So anyway, I got this envelope. It was see if I got something. It was an envelope about this size right here.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And when I opened it up, I opened it at the end right here because that's where the flappy thing was.
Yep.
I thought it was a baseball card because I would buy baseball cards, autograph cards, resell them or collect them, keep them. But anyway, when I pulled the piece of paper out, it was spring loaded. They had folded it. It was kind of like a piece of cardboard. But when I pulled it out, it blew up. And when it blew up, it covered the room with dust and little paper shavings. Those package they're really messy, but they're in the envelopes. It's almost like cut up shredded paper. But anyway, that sprang out with dust all over it. And I went, I just got fucked. And I looked on the letter, and what it said was, this is for what you did to my mom. I still don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, I was sitting in my little room, in my little office, just like this, pulled it out, it exploded. This was when everything on Fox News, CNN, was all about, oh, this senator got an anthrax letter, this library got an anthrax letter, these people died that got one. They're checking out the post office and scanning everything. The postal workers are getting sick from anthrax and all this other shit. It was crazy. So anyway, I opened up the door and I said to the girlfriend, I said, I need you to leave for a couple of days. I need you to take the kids, go to your mom's, do whatever you need to do. But call the FBI first thing you do on your way out. Tell them you just got an anthrax letter because everybody else in the world was getting them, but I got one. So anyway, I told them to leave. They left. I went and I got bleach. I mean, jugs and jugs and jugs of bleach. I filled up a bathtub with bleach. I took a bleach bath. I steam cleaned the room 20 fucking times. I washed down the walls with bleach. I went in the hallway, washed down, rug doctored all the floors, and then I took another bleach bath. And I had some penicillin because I had bad teeth back then too, and I went and had one pulled. That's when I had money. I went to some college or something. I had a tooth pulled for 100. But anyway, I had leftover penicillin in the thing, and I had seen that penicillin will save you your life from anthrax. So I started taking this. While all this was going on, while I was cleaning the house for days with bleach and taking a bleach bath, I called the girlfriend. I told her what I was doing. She told me she called the FBI and notified them. They never showed up. They never showed up. So, like 3 days later, after everything was all cleaned up, I had taken 5 bleach baths and taken penicillin for a few days. I went to the hospital and I told them, hey, you want to check me out for anthrax? I got a letter in the mail. And they were so fucking rude at the hospital. You couldn't believe it. They were like, you've been taking penicillin? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, I'm calling the police on you. You're not supposed to take medicine like that. I said, it was prescribed to me. Call them. Fucking call them. I said, I called the fucking FBI and they didn't show up. Let's see what the police will do. But I was pissed. And the doctor was saying he was going to call the police because I took my own penicillin that was in the medicine chest to save my fucking life. But that's how these people are. It's fucking crazy. I was trained to do what you got to do when you got to do it because nobody's going to help John Kennedy. Just like the FBI didn't show up to do an investigation to see that note that said, I'm doing this because what you did to my mother. Now, where the fuck did that come from? I don't have a clue. Did somebody say, oh, David did it so they would retaliate to me? I don't have the answers. All I know is nobody showed up to help. That was it. I
That's
still haven't heard anything, but that was the anthrax story right there.
about how old would you say you were?
Oh, I would have to look. I'm so bad with, I don't even remember people's birthdays.
There you go.
I was in Pennsylvania. Oh, geez. I would have, you could actually look up when the anthrax attacks were going on and find out from there. Because as far as it could have been 2000, it could, I just don't remember.
Okay. So you were in
But
a
yeah,
different,
it was when the libraries were being hit and all
yeah.
that. And I
Yeah.
don't even know if they caught the guy that did that. I don't have any idea.
I don't know, but I think it was just, of course, to make everyone afraid, which
All
they
right.
love doing. So, okay.
It just pissed me off. I wasn't afraid. I was just pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, there was a time, so switch of topics, different question. You had mentioned there was a time a girlfriend went off on you. She punched you and she held a gun to your head and then she tried to run you over.
Oh, that, yeah. I can't not help but think about that because the cops are fucking dirty. She was actually cheating on me with one of the cops in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. So she was telling him I was a bad guy. I'm sure she knew I was somebody at the top, John Kennedy. I don't know if she actually knew I was John Kennedy or not, but she was in organized crime and she had figured out a way to get even with me. And one of them was trying to kill me, but another one was to cheat on me with a cop to tell him all the stories. And yeah, she tried to kill me flat out. She tried to shoot me with my own gun. I ended up hit her in the leg. I should have hit her right in the fucking teeth for what she put me through. I really should have. I should have just cold cocked her and did some damage. But I punched her in the leg because we were struggling for my gun that was on the ground. So I kind of disabled her. I punched her in the leg, gave her a Charlie horse that put a bruise on her leg like this big. And I bruise really easy now too. So I'm wondering if she was on some kind of medicine, had a heart condition or something to do that. But it actually put a big bruise, and she took pictures and showed it to the judge and everything. She didn't tell him that she was going to kill me with my own gun, though. And then she told her boyfriend that she was cheating on me with, that was a cop, because I'm pretty sure he was there when I was arrested. And he was all got in my face. What are you doing, attacking women like that? And I'm saying, oh, so you're the one that's fucking my girlfriend, huh? But that's how
So,
they do it. That's how they work.
so
I left the house that day. I was walking down the street. She tried to run me over. I ended up walking to a motel. I checked into the motel, and that's when the cops showed up. Um, I think I pissed my pants that day when I showed up. There was 20 cops outside my motel room, all with their weapons pointed at me. Um, it was crazy, but yeah, they grabbed my arm, pulled me out. I think I did piss myself. I'm not going to hide that part because I thought they were going to shoot me. I got so much paranoia in me as it is, PSTD, every other thing. When people are pointing guns at me, it's like just one of those stupid motherfuckers could be under MK Ultra and blow me away.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I was quite concerned. I went to see the judge. They took me to the judge. The judge would not even talk to me, wouldn't even hear my side of the fucking story.
Mhm.
She was like, I heard her side, and I think the cop that was she was fucking was there and told the judge already what a bad guy I was. But anyway, she threw me in prison, in Carlisle prison, without even hearing. And then they didn't give me a phone call they didn't let me make a phone call for about a week. No phone call. No, the judge wouldn't hear my story. I was in. So anyway, I heard a radio program. One of the inmates had a radio that was on it, and it was a newscast of this lawyer that was in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Big time lawyer, did radio shows and everything. So anyway, I got his number and called him up and told him I needed help. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll help you." So after 2 weeks, we talked to the judge. And when we were sitting in the room, because the judge never talked to me for 2 weeks at all, she just said she didn't want to hear my story. He brought up, "You remember the Kennedys?" He was like whispering to her. And then it's like all charges were dropped, except I had to go to anger management. I had my weapon, one of my weapons destroyed. They destroyed my weapons that I had because they didn't. I got out of prison with no record, and I went and bought another one. I couldn't be walking around the streets with all the people that want me dead without a weapon. But that was part of the deal. They had to destroy my weapons, like I was the bad guy. And then I had to go to anger management. And when I went to anger management, they were like, "Did you learn anything?" And I even told the judge that I had to go see the judge after I went to anger management. I told him in anger management, what else could I have done? Nothing. I would have to do it again to save my life. My life was being threatened, and I had to do what I had to do so I would not get shot. I told him that in anger management. But that cost me money to go to anger management. And then I had to go see the judge again. She was like, "Did you learn anything?" I told the judge to do. No, I'm the victim here. I didn't learn a damn thing. The judge kept saying, "Stay away from women. Just stay away from women." I like women. I'm a guy. I think about naked women. Yeah, I'm real. Yeah. But she was like, "You got to stay away from women. Don't go near any women." That's the judge telling me. And I was like, "I'll stay away from you."
Well, I guess what I'm wondering is like you've told us before that most of your girlfriends have been placed with you. All right.
Right.
Like these
Oh yeah,
random,
they'll get them under MK Ultra
yeah,
and place them with me
yeah,
to handle me. I have been under MK Ultra being questioned and things with the girls right there.
yeah, yeah. So, what do you think was this girl's motivation? Like, obviously she was cheating on you, maybe that's where her interests were, but rather than say, "Hey, John, it's not working out," like, why do you think she did all that?
Money.
Mm,
Somebody paid her off.
okay, okay,
Yeah, if you don't know the answer, just think dollar bills. She
right,
was going after the green. Yep. And in organized crime, if she would have killed me, she would have moved way up the ladder.
right. Yeah. And as
Yeah,
you've told us
they would
before,
have made her a princess in organized cabal.
yeah.
She would have been
Mo
all styling.
Most of your girlfriends have been their families have been in organized crime,
Oh yeah.
which is quite shocking because, we like to think, the regular people like to think it's not that prevalent. But when I hear your stories, I'm like, wow, it's out there. It's out there.
Yeah. It's all connected. It's a small world. It's a
Yes.
small world.
Yeah.
I have many stories. I don't like to share them too much, but I have met people in other cities that end up turning into my life a few years later. And it's like, anyway, it's a small world.
Yeah.
The cabal are very, very connected with organized crime. I don't think you can go too many places where there's not cabal members to keep tabs on someone.
Right. Shocking. Shocking. Um, we had a viewer ask, how long were you in Canada and when? I think they were Canadian and they were excited about that. But can you
Um,
talk about being in Canada?
yeah, I was actually, I believe it was the ninth grade, maybe the 10th of high school. But you got to remember my age difference. Um, So how old would I have been in the ninth grade compared to me, the real John Kennedy?
Right,
But
right.
anyway, I had a girlfriend named Angela, and this is kind of what I put together with the puzzle. I had a girlfriend named Angela, and Max Quigley was all paranoid that I got her pregnant, that I had sex with her in the back of his car. He was really coming unglued with that. You can't be having sex. They didn't want any children out there that they would have had to get rid of, or any of these gals getting pregnant with John Kennedy's kid. They didn't want that. They wanted to, they're the ones that castrated me, so I could not have children in the first place. So this was before I was castrated and all that. But anyway, they were really freaking out that I had sex with Angela in their car. So anyway, I don't know what happened to Angela. I've never seen her again. But anyway, I was going to school. I was going out the front door. And like I said, I was probably in the ninth grade of high school. What year that was? I'd have to look that up too. Um, but yeah, I had my books. Not that I even went to school in the first place. Usually I just went and hung out with people and got high and talked because I couldn't handle going to school. I couldn't handle people telling me what to do. I just couldn't handle people at that time. Um, but anyway, I had all my books. I was walking out the door. Max Quigley said, "You're not going to school today. You're getting on an airplane today, going to Canada." And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And they demanded that I went to Canada. So I grabbed my skateboard, some clothes, and they put me on a plane going to Canada. I got off the plane. When I got to Canada, they held me and questioned me. The Canadian authorities, at the airport were questioning me big time. Um, my oh geez, I'm brain dead. The guy that married my sister, on the Quigley side, Debbie Quigley. His name was Jerry Van Dyke, same like Dick Van Dyke. Anyway, he ended up coming to the airport, to the little office where I was being detained at, and said, "Hey, I'm Jerry Van Dyke. My family's big, if you know what the fuck I mean, and don't fuck with me. He came here to visit me, and I want you to release him into my custody now." And the Canadian police officers that were there was like, "Okay, go ahead." But he had said something to them like, "Hey, I'm Jerry Van Dyke and we're Secret Service. Don't fuck with us." Something to that effect. But anyway, after they had questioned me, wondered why I was in Canada and all that, they let me stay. But I was there for a year. I was in Edmonton, Alberta. Um, it wasn't so bad. I met a couple girls. They were French. They didn't really speak a lot of English. One of them was way older than me, had a Corvette, had lots of money, had a really good job. So I'm guessing I was 15, 16 years old then, but not my real age. She would take me out to bars. She bought me clothes. Um, she was really, really nice to me. And that was when I was in Canada for a year. A lot of the times it was cold, so I was just go in and play Atari all day long. That's when the Atari games I play Asteroids. I got really good at playing Asteroids because you're in, it's freezing cold outside, so you have nothing else to do except watch TV, play videos, and that kind of thing. That's what I did. When the weather warmed up, I rode my skateboard all over Canada. Um, yeah, um, it was kind of cool. Um, I saw the Northern Lights for the first time. Scared the shit out of me when I didn't even know what the Northern Lights were. We were at a drive-in, and I seen all these rainbow clouds rolling in at the drive-in, and I was like, "Oh fuck, we're gonna die. We just got nuked." And they were like, "You've never heard of the Northern Lights?" I was like, "No, I thought there was just fucking nuclear waste coming our way or something. We were all gonna die." But that was cool. That was a trip. Um, but yeah, it was kind of nice being in Canada. I missed I missed home. I missed all my friends because I didn't get to say goodbye to anybody. I just got on a plane and left, and that was their plan, I guess. I met a lot of people in Canada that were in the Secret Service. I went to a few parties and people would talk to me and go in the roundabout way of, yeah, you're here because of the heat down there in the United States. It's too hot for you right now. They would say shit like that. But they were part of the Secret Service. And they were letting me know what was going on. Like, you're here because some shit went down, so we're kind of looking after you, type of thing. Um, I don't know what happened. Um, I really don't. There was probably some crazy shit going on, but I was in Canada.
So,
Um,
who did you live with when you were in Canada?
my sister and her husband,
Okay.
um, what would you call him? He was married to my sister. I'm
Well,
blank.
brother-in-law, although she's believed.
Brother-in-law. There you go.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was my brother-in-law,
So
and
there is an actor called actor's name Jerry Van Dyke. Was he the actor or
no,
was
he
he
was actually a musician.
okay?
He had a few bands, bar bands. They would practice. They were really good. I believe his brother is the one that knew Ozzy Osbourne, but they were big time in Edmonton for, I mean, he was one of the best guitar players I've ever heard. He was really
Okay.
professional. But anyway, they would have bar bands, really professional bar bands with all the equipment, and they would go practice each and every night. And I'd go there and listen to them practice once in a while. But they were a really, really good band. They had a good singer and everything. But you got to be on the Cabal payroll to get big if they want you
Yeah,
to be there.
yeah, that's true.
Right.
Anyone that's a national name or international name is on the in that club. You know, you can't get to a certain level and go beyond a certain level without signing on the dotted line, if you will. Right. So when you were in Canada, you occasionally wrote lyrics, you said. You would write like poetry or whatever, and
Yeah.
somehow that got into Ozzy Osbourne's hands. And
Yeah. Well, actually, I was there and I had wrote some lyrics down on paper. Um, I believe it was like over the mountain, over the mountain, and so I was writing all that, and like, Mama, I'm coming home, because I was just thrown away up to Canada, you know.
yeah,
So I was always calling Dorothy Quigley and saying, I'd really like to come home. Are you guys going to buy me a ticket back, or what? But anyway, I wrote all these lyrics down, just what was on my mind while it was cold and I was playing Atari. I would write shit down. But anyway, Jerry Van Dyke's brother, and his name was John Van Dyke. And he said, "Hey, this is really fucking good." He said, "I know some people in the music industry that you'll make some money. These are that good. You'll make some money. I'll pay you." So anyway, I wrote a bunch of lyrics on paper down, and I gave them to him. And next thing you know, Ozzy's coming out with my songs. And I even heard Ozzy joking one time. I didn't hear it. Somebody else relayed it to me. But Ozzy was in an interview, and he was like, somebody asked him, "Who's writes your songs?" And he was like, "JFK Jr. does."
that's so interesting. So you were there, let's say a year. How did you end up getting back down to California?
They finally bought me a plane ticket back
Okay. So
after a year.
whatever.
I think you can only stay so long in Canada anyway.
Ah, okay.
They got the laws like you can't become a citizen if you're American. You got to go back sooner or later.
Yeah, okay.
So I think my time was up, and I came back.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
And everybody was gone. Everybody I knew was gone. I didn't have friends anymore. You know, that kind of thing. I mean, I knew a few people here and there but yeah, it was crazy.
Okay. Wow.
I
So
never saw Angela, my girlfriend, again. Um,
so what do you think happened? Like, like they wanted to get you out of Dodge, but do you think it was something you did? Do you think there was something bigger going on that they were under suspicion or whatever?
there's so much crazy shit, so many murders that were going on, um, so much crime. It could have been anything. It could have been somebody else where I was a witness or there, or um, I just don't know.
Okay. All right.
And they didn't tell me. Kitty,
Okay.
come on,
Yeah.
come on.
You get a little visitor. Yeah.
Yeah, she's laying
Okay.
right. She just came up here and laid right down. That's Peace Cat.
Yeah.
And she
Okay.
likes looking over the edge right here. The dog and her have stare offs.
Yeah. The cats always win. All right. Major switch of questions. You studied, during your art career as a child mostly. You studied with Marc Chagall, Andy Warhol, Pablo Picasso. Did you actually get to do any art? Like, did you create your own
Yeah, I
artwork?
don't know what happened to it, but I was so young, it was just scribbles.
Yeah.
Um, they would put us on a picnic table, me and a few other kids sometimes, and hand us some paper and a box of crayons and say, draw this. This is a flower. Pablo Picasso was working with metal art. He actually had a Jesus, cross of a Jesus he wanted me to polish. I think I ruined it because I polished it too much. But I was learning how to use a polishing wheel. Um,
Ah, okay.
Andy Warhol, we were at the beach. Um, I don't know if Andy Warhol was the guy that painted in blood. There was one artist that I was with that actually painted with his own blood on the canvas. That was kind of weird. I'm not sure who that was. But yeah, I was little. It wasn't like massive instruction, but it's the fact that hey, I was with Marc Chagall and I was in Israel while he was making the stained glass series, and I got to fuck with the shit he was making. He would tell me to put this little piece here or that piece there. They would get the resin and they would pour it out on the table while I was there. Um, Crazy shit like that.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I was taught by a lot of people. You imagine if this was all brought out into the light, what my art career would be like. Hey, John Kennedy Jr., I want a piece of art from him. He was taught by Pablo Picasso, Marc Chagall, um, yeah, many others.
Yeah. Well,
Like I
that's
said, Andy Warhol, Muhammad Ali, for Christ's sake.
what happened with Muhammad Ali.
Oh, I just got to talk to him a couple times. It was for photo ops, meeting with my mom and the family and things like that. I met baseball stars too. Um, what was the guy's name that got in trouble for sports betting?
Pete Rose.
There you go. I met Pete Rose. I met so many people when I was growing up, and yeah, some of them got screwed in their careers probably because cabal got into it.
Yeah.
More than likely, I knew Martha Stewart when she got in trouble for her and went to prison. Um, I met Hillary more than once. Hillary Clinton would not get on an airplane with me because she knew there was a threat on my life to kill me. She was scared. I'm not flying with him. Fuck no, they're gonna try to kill him.
Yeah.
Um, I remember that. Um, you know, I'm in Laughlin, Nevada. All the casinos popped up here because of Don Laughlin. Don Laughlin was in the CIA. I remember Don Laughlin. We used to fly in on an airplane and deliver things to Don Laughlin. Um, but it's all connected. It's you cannot start a town where they name the town after you unless you're part of it.
Right. So, what was Martha Stewart like?
I thought she was kind of nice, but she was being controlled. She wanted to make a buck, so she did what she did, I guess. But a lot of these people I meet have met. They're nice. Some of them ain't very nice. Some of them are pretty downright mean. And but yeah, I met so many celebrities, so many Hollywood actors, so many musicians in my day, and a lot of them are nice. Um, Being under MK Ultra is kind of crazy. Um, my sister that they killed, my stepsister, Christina. Um, the guy from Styx said he wrote a song for her, and I sat on the piano chair next to him while he played and was teaching me how to sing. Um, Lady Gaga when she was young. I went somewhere, I don't know where it was. I was under MK Ultra, some hotel or something, and I sat next to her while she was playing the piano, and she sang one of her songs to me. I met many musicians. Britney Spears, when she first came out with her video, it was at a school, I believe, one of her first music videos. And I was sitting next to her and we were talking about Wayne. And she said, everybody knows fucking Wayne in Hollywood. You don't get to be a star unless you know Wayne. And I was like, okay. But anyway, I get to meet these little people. I don't know if it's so they stay in my mind or what. I have another story. I'm not going to share it yet about Britney until I figure it out. But I've met so many people that way. And it was basically Wayne taking me, saying, here, we're going to meet Britney Spears. We're going to meet Lady Gaga. We're going to, I used the band What's Up. What's the name of that? 29 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill for a destination. That song, I can't remember, but yeah, I was there while they were actually filming the music video. This goes all the way back to when I was young. Wrigley's. If you remember, there's a picture of me chewing on Wrigley's gum. I met the Wrigley twins on one of the commercials where they were filming. I just met so many. Oh, Kitty. Kitty's throwing shit off my desk here. But yeah, I don't know why I would be put under MK Ultra and meet so many people, all the way from Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was young to Rocky, Sylvester Stallone. I met some of them kicked my ass too, straight up. I would meet them under MK Ultra and they would kick my ass. But there were a lot of them I hung out with for quite some time with these Hollywood actors.
Okay, interesting.
They tortured me not to remember names. So there's so many Hollywood actors out there that I've met that I would have to look up and find them and say, oh, I know that guy. And then, pull the name up with the face and say, yeah, that guy kicked my ass on the set one day.
All right. So it started off, we talked about artists and it morphed into Hollywood, but that just goes to show how many people out there you've met throughout your lifetime. Yeah. Like,
yeah. Well, for years I was doing this, meeting everybody, and they were meeting me, and I thought it was because I was going to become the new Don. I was going to become the new boss. Wayne was taking me, meeting all these people in Hollywood, in the music industry, comedians, you name it. I was meeting them. These people that have talk shows, the people from the Big Bang Theory, Roseanne, so many people I've met. Crazy. Like I said, I thought I was meeting them and they were bringing me up to be the boss, to control them in a nice way. Just, hey, we know each other. We're all family.
So you were really like being groomed to take over Atlantic City, or so you thought, right?
So I thought, yeah.
Yeah, you
I
spent a
wanted to
lot
make sure I did a good job. If I'm going to take over a city, I want to know what I got. I want to know what I got to deal with.
Yeah.
So actually, when I was in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, I had two jobs. I was driving truck. I was working as a mechanic on trailers, tractor trailers, driving the little mechanic truck around, fixing these things. I was working at a warehouse, but every single weekend, almost every single weekend, I would get a different hotel room in Atlantic City. And pretty soon they started sending me, I would go gamble my paycheck away, but I would stay at one casino and then I'd go to the other casino. Then I would be staying at places that didn't have casinos, that were just motel rooms. But I went up the whole strip all the way and I got to know each and every casino. I got to know each and every hotel. I walked up the boardwalk many times, knowing what shops were there, what the shops sold. I was just trying to figure out, the little racket on, you got the guys on the bicycles and they drive you around. You sit in the little basket in the back and they drive you on the bicycle.
Rickshaws.
I got to know those guys.
Yeah.
I got to talk with those guys, and I talked with them a lot because they do it
Yeah.
every day. They're going up and down. They're like taxi drivers. If you want to know something, you ask a taxi driver. So I would pay him $10, $20 or whatever, get a little ride to somewhere, and talk to him. Say, hey, if you want a prostitute in this town, where do you go? If you want a bag of weed in this town, where do you go? If you want hard drugs, where do you go? But they would talk to me. Um, so yeah, I learned. I tried to learn the insides of Atlantic City.
So what do you think went wrong? Like, why didn't you become like, the boss of that area? Like, in your opinion?
I really don't know. I have
Okay.
no idea. I
Like,
don't know why it was all done. I took it on myself, thinking I would be running it someday. So I took the incentive and learned everything about Atlantic City I could.
right, right. Yeah. Okay, just a curiosity question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I saw something yesterday that made me curious. So here's a switch of question. Was Donald Trump's mother switched out that you're aware of?
Somebody had brought that's going on over the internet right now. I really don't know.
Okay.
All I know is when I was young, I was told Donald Trump was family. I met Donald Trump a few times, not many times, but a few times.
Yeah.
He knew me. Um, we talked about girls, things like that. He was very open with me. I was very jealous of him. Um, we were at a party one time. He had a girl on each arm. He did. He was younger then. And I said, man, how do you get all these women hanging on you? I just want one girlfriend. How do you do it? And he was like, and I'm not making this up because I don't like Donald Trump. I don't really care either way. But he looked at me and said, I get so many women. I'm thinking about being gay.
Say that
That
again?
he said, I get so many women. I'm thinking about being gay.
Oh, oh, wow.
Yeah,
So money and power.
right. But what kind of other perverted things did he get into after that with Epstein? Um, people really need to wake up to what's going on. They really do. I get so many hate comments because I share what I know about my cousin Donald Trump that's dead and replaced. Um, he's part of the cabal. He's part of the underworld. He's right there with Epstein, trafficking children and everything. People you say that people say, "Oh, he's playing the good cop. He's doing that because he's undercover." No, he's not doing that because he's undercover. He's doing that because he's a fucking creep. He's a billionaire. He's part of the cabal. It's not because all of a sudden he's saving the world. So he's going out with Epstein. He's fucking all these young girls. He's controlling, you know, whatever he was charged for, all these felons and every other thing. Him stealing money from his own relatives because he's not Donald Trump.
I think he's going to be exposed very soon. So, we don't talk about him very much because people are like, they're die hard Trump supporters, but I think he's going to get himself into trouble, and what he's done is going to be exposed. And
It needs to
everybody,
be. People need to hear me. I'm not for government. I
yeah,
believe everybody in government is a fucking criminal. All of them. All of them are there part of the cabal.
right.
And they want to be the elite. They don't care about, they might say they care about us little guys, but they don't. It's all about them billionaires eating their caviar, drinking their champagne, flying in their jets, cruising on their
Yeah.
ships and every other thing that they do. They don't care about the homeless. They don't care about the drugs. They don't care about the vet. They don't care about us and what's really going on. I know I could change things in a fucking week, in 2 weeks. We could fix so many problems, but they're making money off of it. The cabal are making money off all these drugs and every other thing, and the children. It's crazy.
All
And
you got to
I'm a
do
victim
is
of it myself. I know.
all you got to do is like look around at what's happened to the country. You see the homeless, people struggling and suffering. No one has any money. They can't eat or buy food. and you see where their motivations are. All right, so you see that. Not, I don't want to get off too much on a tangent, but we can see it in the society, how the division between, we'll call it the elite, if you will, and the lower and middle classes has become so great.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, they
only,
like us being in poverty. They really
yeah,
do.
it's a
And
good way to control
I'm a
people.
great example about being in poverty.
Yeah,
Um, a couple of years ago when I was sick and couldn't work and I was in total poverty. I had no fucking income.
yeah,
I was hustling to make a dollar, and then I was sick half the time with heart failure and
yeah,
diabetes, and it was crazy. Being
yeah,
poor and broke. And now I still get asked questions. Um, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? It's like I don't have the money to do shit. Me and Robin were going. I don't remember where we were even going. I think to get a pack of cigarettes yesterday, and we went by the place where my mother and stepfather were murdered. And it's all a big ball field now. It's a great big huge park, Rotary Park. But they had a big baseball diamond, lots of green grass, very pretty. But there was the signs on the baseball field, of all the sponsors of restaurants and this kind of thing. And Robin was like, "You need to put a banner up that says stolen identity or one of your books there." And I was like, "Yeah, how about if I had some money, I could do a lot of fucking things."
yeah, yeah. Well, hey, what we're doing is really, it's working. The story is getting out there, so that's important, right? Um,
Yeah, that's great too. We've come a long, long way,
yeah,
which is awesome. In the past few years, we went. I saw a video of me holding up a sign. I got so desperate when I was holding up that sign. I was like, okay, I get on Facebook. I got 2 viewers. I'm trying to get my story out. I had sent hundreds and hundreds of mails to all the news agencies, everywhere, Congress, everywhere I could think of. And I'd get on Facebook and I'd have one or two people watching. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do to get my story out? I'm a sign holding it up. I'll do anything to get this story out to the world. Anything.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, so for someone new that's watching, this takes a lot of time and it's emotional energy as well as physical energy. And I think a scammer would have given up a long time ago. You know what I mean? It's not, it's heavy, it's a heavy topic too. It's hard. So
Yeah.
you are persevering, you've dug in, you're getting that story out this year, and we're helping and it's working. It's so exciting. Um, Now I do have a few more questions. Do you have enough time or are we
Yeah.
good?
While I'm thinking about it, I was on, I believe it was yesterday, I was on Facebook on Messenger and I was in one of these chat rooms that I don't know if Lenny or somebody started. But anyway, I was in a chat room. There was a bunch of gals in there talking about me and my story, and they're like, Kathy O'Brien's going to be on Sean. At, what's his last name? Atwood. Sean Atwood's show. Let's all go over there and check it out. And I had always wanted to hear Kathy O'Brien, so we all went over there in the chat. We were all commenting. They were like, JFK's in the room and this kind of thing. But I listened to her for 2 hours, and she is spot on so many things that are like I've been sharing the same thing about MK Ultra and these people and what they do. I would love to get a hold of her and join up and share my story with her story. And we were making comments. Lanny was making comments on her show, on Sean's show, like, "Hey, get a hold of John, get him on here, bring him out." But I know they're lying with the numbers. Sean and his show have almost 1 million followers. 1 million. That's a lot of followers. But when Kathy was his guest on there, prime time, everything, he only had 2,000 people out of a million watching. Numbers ain't adding up. They're saying he's got a million, but if I had a million followers and John Kennedy Jr. came on to do a show with somebody like that, we'd have 100,000 people on easily,
Right.
easily.
Yeah.
But what's going on with the numbers? Why didn't they contact me to bring me on. I mean, my story's huge. Are they scared? Um, some people reached out to Kathy O'Brien and they're like, hey, team up with John and help get the story out. So I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. Hopefully they'll contact me. Um, I just don't get the numbers. I don't, um, MK Ultra is huge. Her exposing MK Ultra.
You're
And
getting the numbers, they're just not putting them out there correctly.
right.
So like, we know that they're messing with the numbers. So you can't,
And with that said, people,
yeah,
blow up Facebook, make a video, share the story, go to thequietjourney.tv, hit
yeah,
that share button,
yeah,
and
yeah.
help me get justice because they don't want it out.
Got great people doing social media, and all I'm asking is to put John's website on the post so people can click and understand the story quickly. Because if, once they scroll, they're going to forget all about it.
Yeah.
But
We
if
got
they go in, yeah,
so many wonderful lions. You know, I still get comments from people, nobody's going to believe your story. Well, they do because it's the truth. And I've got lions in Canada. I've got lions, in British Columbia and Montreal sharing the story. I got lions in New York, Connecticut, um, all over the United States, Las Vegas, California. It is awesome. New Jersey, all these people are popping up saying, we love you, we support you. They're putting stickers on their cars, sharing my stories, sharing my flyers. And that's what we need to beat them and expose them for what they're doing. Somebody, if my book, I've always said, if my book could go number one, they would have to. They would have to acknowledge, all the media would have to say, hey, this is a number one seller. How are we going to keep it quiet? How are we?
yeah, yeah. Everything is starting to crumble around, and so you're going to be seeing a lot of truth come out this year. All right, it's taking its time, but I can see it starting to crumble faster. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
We do
One
have a
of the
couple. No,
biggest things I'm hindered about is Trump,
yeah,
and I don't care. It's a big hindrance. There's so many people, and I don't even know if the numbers are correct with him. Because I share, hey, Donald Trump helped sell my loved one's possession. My loved ones were murdered, and he was friends with the man that stole my identity, even though they were supposed to be cousins. So he was right in there in the criminal activity of identity theft, right in there selling possessions for millions of dollars. I'm sharing that. I'm trying to expose that. And then when I saw his dead body in 1989, they wanted me to see his dead body. I'm sharing what I know. It's not because I'm a Democrat, but it's because I want you all to know what they're doing, the truth. And people just can't handle it. People have been brainwashed into thinking they got a savior. They finally got a savior to save us when it's the same bird. It is the same bird. It's just to help divide the country from the Democrats. You got the cabal telling the Democrats what to do, and you got the cabal telling the Republicans what to do. And it's really sad, but people are buying it. People ain't getting they don't get it. They can't wake up from. When I talk to somebody on the street, they say, I know our government's corrupt. It's real corrupt. But then they back our government by saying, waving their flag for somebody. It's like, no, you don't understand. They are the corrupt ones.
yeah,
But anyway, I got to do what I got to do. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to back off Trump just because there's so many Trump supporters. It's like, hey, look at the truth, search it out. If you don't like me because I want to expose Trump for being a criminal, that's your tough luck. I ain't stopping. People say, oh, you got to stop. I ain't never stopping. My last breath will be, hey, I'm John Kennedy Jr. Get the story out.
right, right. So I appreciate all the work everyone has done with social media, sharing the books and everything. It's been fabulous. They're doing a great job. Um, one last question, if that's okay.
Yeah. And with that said, um, I got a gal that goes to Dallas and
Uh,
she's an awesome lion. She sets up a booth. She hands out buttons and flyers, and that's all out of her own pocket. She's awesome.
yeah,
I asked her one time, "What can I do?" And she's like, "You've done it already. We're here to help you."
yeah,
So she's a true blessing. I wish I had so many more like her.
right.
Um, I mean, she's been there 10 times now.
Yes.
10
So
times.
Shannon has been going down every weekend pretty much, and she's created backdrops and flyers, and then she created beautiful buttons to give away.
And she's
And
getting the story out all around the world. All
yeah,
around the world, visitors from all around the world are getting stickers and buttons.
yeah, it's a real commitment what she's doing, because I think it's about an hour drive from where she lives. I
And
told her,
I hope when my story gets out, because it's people like her that'll get it out, that she goes in the history book for being like a Paul Revere, a Betsy Ross. You know, it's awesome what she's doing. She is
yeah,
trying
well,
to save our country, and there's so many lines like her. I'm getting new people pop up on Facebook making videos every single day.
yeah,
There's a Diane. There's so many. You know, Mojo's going. They kick her off, and then Brenda. There's so many names to mention of these people that are helping, which is wonderful.
yeah,
I hope when the story gets out, all these people, and then the people that have sent me love gifts. Um, you know, I don't know if they want to be noticed, but it's all been recorded of people sending me $1 or $10 or $100 or more. It's, you know, I want them to be recognized. Hey, you helped John come out of poverty and get books out, get a video out, get a documentary out, um, get a studio. I mean, this was all because of the Lions that are doing that.
right. It's
It's wonderful.
fabulous.
And you, Sue, just having me on your
Oh,
show every week.
yeah.
It's so thoughtful. It really
Well,
is.
we're
You can be the next Betsy Ross. What do you think?
no, I'm just want to be me, but I want the truth out there in every respect, in every
I was
topic.
just using that for
Yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah. But it's really important to me to get the truth out there. So no agenda other than that. We're, we're not making money from it. We're not selling stuff. Although on John's website, he does have his books. There's two books on the home page that you can click the link and buy. And then there's a shop channel or shop page where you can buy John's healing pendant and even a sweatshirt or a t-shirt. All right. So those are
Nice.
great, of great help to John because it
And
helps to support
and with
him.
that said, if you go to the website and you want to buy one of these pendants,
Yeah.
I have some Historian Tales books to give away, just a few. Um, a Wonderful Lion sent me 10 books of stolen identity. So if you buy a pendant, I haven't sold a pendant in a couple weeks. It sure helps. It gives me $100 in my pocket.
Yep.
I'll autograph a book and send it with your pendant,
Awesome.
and
Yeah.
I can put gas in the car or maybe internet bill or whatever I have to do.
Yeah. And on the website, the real John F. Kennedy JR.com, you'll find great content and information, pictures, and all that. A little bit of the timeline in the story. For those that are new, like we haven't sat here and gone through the story again, like week after week, that would be just too much time, which is why we're referring you to the documentary, which is literally 1 hour long. Okay.
And
The
it was well
quality.
done, very well done.
Yep. Or the books, or, all of the resources will be listed below this video. So you can just click on those links and get what you need. Okay.
And these people that did this quiet journey are
Yeah.
so they have wonderful hearts. They do to set me up with this beautiful studio, wonderful equipment. It's so awesome. And the gal knew that I was in Bullhead City and knew it was 115 degrees one day and said, I want to buy you an air conditioner. Go get one. And I did, and I'm loving it right now. I am.
So
I've been
awesome.
going the last couple days out working in the yard. You got to get up when the sun comes up here in Arizona.
Yep.
And then if you work 3 or 4 hours, by the time 3 or 4 hours, you're sweating your ass off.
Yep.
The last 2 days, I've been out working in the garden each day. And when I get done, I'm so dirty and hot and sweaty. I take a shower in the hose and just sit there and wash up. I did that right before our show here. But it's dang hot out there. And we're
Yeah.
gonna have heat for the next three months anyway. So
Well,
what a blessing, what a blessing an air conditioner is. Somebody have that in their heart to do that for me. Um, someday I hope and pray I can do something like back to all these people that fix me up like that and do
right.
me a solid. You know, I'm a giver, but when you don't have much to give, it's hard.
Yeah. Well, you're
Right
extremely,
now, I'm a receiver, but someday, maybe
yeah.
I'll get the billions back. Maybe somebody will or pay me off for something, and I can help everybody that's like me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I'm just going with the flow. I'm trusting Daddy. A lot of
yeah.
people are saying, move to Connecticut, move to Boston, move to Florida. It's like something's going to happen. I'm just going with Daddy. Whatever Daddy wants me to go,
Exactly.
I'm there. But I'm fixing up this house. It's an investment. It's just to make it livable.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'm just trusting in Daddy. If Daddy tells me to go to Florida, hell, I'll be going. But Daddy's
Right.
going to have to help me.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being persistent and getting the story out there. For those that are watching, it's really important for everyone. We all want the truth out there. We don't want this all covered up. And just think of how many other people are out there with horrible stories. Not that we want them to have these horrible stories. We want them to be able to get their truth out there. We
Yeah,
want to stop this.
it's such a shame.
Yeah.
We've been doing everything to get the story out. And here you got Congress, going over the JFK files. I'm not invited. Why won't they invite me, the son, to come there? Why won't they,
Yeah.
say, hey, let's prove that you're really who you are? It's kind of sad. We're still going through these battles.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
If they want the real truth out there, let's get John Kennedy to share some stories with them
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what really happened.
Right. Well, I feel like we're at a good breaking point for today, but we'll do another Q&A because I feel like these are really interesting. Like, sometimes you'll give us a story but not tell us all the details. They're super interesting. So,
And
thank
if
you.
any of you viewers have questions, please ask Sue. Get them on the show next time.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, I really hate stupid questions. I do when um, you know, I get some really stupid questions. A lot of
Well,
haters too, but
yeah.
yeah, you're talking with the real John Kennedy Jr. and ask a good question if you want a good answer.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all for watching and thank you for sharing and whatever else you're doing. It's greatly appreciated. And thank you, John, for being courageous and getting through it and then persistent and helping us to understand the story so we can get it out there and prevent this from ever happening again to anyone else.
Right. There's so many victims and we
Right.
can help. We can help a lot of people.
Right.
And the Q doesn't have a plan. They say they do, but my plan is share.
Yep.
Let's just get this
Get
story
it
out.
out there.
They don't want it out, and they don't want it out for a reason. So if we can get it out one share at a time, we're doing some damage.
Right. Excellent. Thank you all. Thank you, John, so much. Bye-bye.
All love, everybody.